Welcome back. While environmental groups are relieved that the South African Petroleum Refineries are suspending production in Durban by the end of March, this was announced on Thursday, and environmentalists say it's good news for the health of those who live near the refinery. But the move might not be permanent, as Sapref is exploring the option of selling. So for more on this, I'm joined now by Desmond D'sa from the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance. Thank you so much, Desmond, for your time this morning. First of all, how soon did you know about this 50-50 joint venture between BP as well as Shell, Sapref being suspending or having suspending its operations indefinitely? When did you find out? Hi, Desmond. Are you still there? All right, we're going to try and see if we can get a hold of... There you go. There you are. All right, talk to us a little bit, Desmond. When did you find out about Sapref deciding to suspend operations indefinitely? And, of course, this being a 50-50 between BP as well as Shell.
Well, we only got to know about it on Thursday at 5 o'clock, just when I was about to leave the office. And I had to scramble in and shocked about it to inquire, to find out if this was reality. So I phoned the guys that work at the Sapref refinery who are currently working on the maintenance shutdown. And they were told, they were hurriedly called to a meeting on the very same day and informed that the Shell and BP refinery is closing down and that they are no longer going to pursue the maintenance shutdown. That was the first time I heard about it. It was quite amazing that, although we heard for a number of years now that Shell International has announced that the top 5 refineries that they would close and demoth would be the refineries that have lived past their sell-by date. In other words, they would have been quite a number of years in operation. And we are well aware that the Shell and BP refinery is over 60 years old.
Yeah. I mean, we're speaking about how the refinery was built in about, 1963 or so. And that in itself, some environmentalist groups are saying that they're actually relieved at the fact that it is suspending its operations. But, Desmond, does it not then have an impact on those that rely on the refinery for livelihood, community members, local communities who actually find work within the refinery?
Well, you know, we certainly believe that there should have been a just transition. In other words, there should have been a point of discussion. Shell should be able to sit down with the people and discuss that very same thing. How do people who have been working at the refinery all these years do not just lose their jobs, but they get the necessary skill and are upskilled to other sort of jobs that they can acquire? The refinery management, who have made huge profits in this country, owe it to the workers who have deliberately slaved at these refineries and built up these refineries for many years. They owe it to them to actually come and upskill them and to ensure that if they lose their jobs, they get well compensated, but also they are able to go and acquire another job.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened at all.
Well, it looks as though when it comes to the decision being made on Thursday, BP and Shell were trying to allay any concerns regarding the very same issue around job losses, saying those that are full-time employees and will not necessarily be affected by this, and that safety remains a primary consideration. Do you believe them? Do you believe that full-time employees actually will not be affected by this decision to actually shut down or suspend operations indefinitely?
Well, Shell's inconvenient with the truth. You know, they are offering people packages so that they can leave at an earlier age. And that in itself is constructive dismissal. We certainly believe that there must be proper and informed and meaningful discussions, not only with the trade union, but with the community. We've seen corporations close down and inadvertently ghost towns appear overnight. We don't want that to happen in our townships, in our suburbs, that ghost suburbs appear overnight, that the vast majority of people are now sitting at home unemployed. Whilst we welcome the announcement, we think that we need to get into the details about the remediation of the site, what's going to happen, and so on and so on. And that can only come from Shell engaging with the local population as well as the trade unions.
Yeah. Just talk to us a little bit from an environmental perspective. What are the implications of actually having such an old refinery in existence? I mean, 1963 is a very long time to have a refinery if you're not going to be able to just see to its daily operations, as well as seeing that it is, responding to some of the concerns that the environment may have. So what are the dangers of it?
Well, since I started to work on environmental issues in 1995, when the former President Nelson Mandela came to South Durban, we have recorded over nearly 20 explosions and fires and gassing out at the refinery. And this has meant that even the ocean has not been spared. We were seeing huge oil leaks from the where the crude oil comes through in South Durban at Reunion and enters into the Sapref refinery. But we've seen some very nasty explosions and fires right next door to our homes, and as the crow flies, the refinery is 1 minute away from us and outside our back window. So this has happened over the years. Not only does the water and the marine life, but we've got the highest level of asthma, chronic asthma and cancer in the whole of South Africa in Durban. And that's because of the big refineries that we have, and Shell is one of them. They were producing 120,000 tons of sulfur a year, which meant that they had the best refinery. They had double standards for European lives, where they were producing less than 20 tons in Europe, in Rotterdam, in Copenhagen, where they've got the best refinery. But when it came to Durban, they had double standards for the lives in Durban, and even worse in other parts of Africa. And we have shown that through the writings that we have shown. We've provided the evidence, even to Shell itself, and they admitted it. Look, you know, it was easy for them to admit and say, well, we have challenges. But they knew inadvertently at the end of the day, they were going to close the refinery down, and the people of this country will suffer more.
Desmond, we'll leave it there for now. Desmond D'sa there from the South Durban Community Environmental Alliance, just giving us an update on that decision to suspend operations at Sapref indefinitely.